Hi everyone, I'm Alice. Welcome back to another video. Today is the second in our series on verbal discrete questions, or in the verbal section, the questions where you have a single sentence or a few sentences and you have to fill in the blank with different vocabulary. Today we're going to be building on what we talked about last time, and if you haven't seen that, check out the whole playlist and I'll leave that right there. For today, the key principle that you want to keep in mind is that you want to understand the relationship between the main or independent clause of a sentence and the dependent clause of a sentence. And that's usually the part of the sentence that adds additional information. You can see more about that in the previous video as well, but this relationship really lies in the transition word between them. So anytime you have a word such as one of the ones in this little chart, you can get an idea of how to think about those two parts of the sentence. If you see one of the words on the left side, things like despite, but, not, on the other hand, whereas, nonetheless, even though, or even so, most of the time these are going to be drawing a contrast with each other. So when you go to think about the blank, you're thinking about the opposite idea. On the other hand, if you look at all the words on the right side, we have all positive connotations, meaning that the ideas in the two clauses are going to align. They're going to agree with each other. And these include since, because, as a result, not only, but also, therefore, and hence. So anytime you see these, you can know pretty much the relationship between those two clauses of a sentence, and if you have any more, feel free to leave them in the comments below so everyone can share. With that in mind, let's take a look at the example question for today, which is this. An investigation that is blank can occasionally yield new facts, even notable ones, but typically the appearance of such facts is the result of a search in a definite direction. Building on what we already know, I want to identify first the main clause of a sentence, and in this example, that is the first part here. So an investigation that is blank can occasionally yield new facts, even notable ones. So we're talking about the relationship between investigations and yielding new facts. And then the second part of the sentence, starting with but, remember that's one of the transition words, the negative transition words that we saw on the previous slide. The second half of the sentence tells us that what comes after is opposite, or it provides kind of contrary ideas to that main clause. So typically the appearance of such facts is the result of a search in a definite direction. So what we know from this is that there is a clear contrast between the first type of investigation and a search with a clear goal or a definite direction. So in the answer choice, we're probably looking for a word that is the opposite of having a definite direction or having a clear goal. So let's take a look at all of the answer choices. For A, we have timely, meaning having an ideal timeline. So this can definitely work. But remember, we're really focusing on the fact that investigations have a definite direction or not. So it's not likely to be the answer here. Choice B is unguided with no goal. That does sound like it's the opposite of having a definite direction. If you have a definite direction, you know where you're going. If you're unguided, most of the time you don't. So this looks really promising. For C, the answer is consistent or done the same way over and over. This really doesn't seem to be the correct answer because, again, the main contrast in the sentence is between an investigation with a definite direction and one that is presumably the opposite of that. So consistency has really nothing to do with it. D is uncomplicated or simple. Again, we can definitely have an uncomplicated investigation, but that doesn't fit within the realm of this sentence. And choice E here is subjective or based on opinion. So again, we're contrasting having a definite direction with something, and whether or not something is subjective doesn't really matter here. So as we can see, the answer is B, unguided. An investigation that is unguided can occasionally yield new facts, even notable ones. But typically, the appearance of such facts is the result of a search in a definite direction. So you can see that this is the only answer choice that really helps us fulfill that transition word, that contrast between an investigation that's unguided and one that has a definite direction. So hopefully that gives you an idea of how to use these transition words and what they actually look like in context. If you're looking for more information on how you can actually implement these tips and tricks into getting a better score on your GRE, please visit alicechengre.com. I have more information about what it's like to work with me. For example, that I was patient and kind, I explained things to Sarah thoroughly and offered examples and tips. With Joshua, I gave him a better understanding of what he should work on to get over that 150 score that he was aiming for. I have more information about how private GRE tutoring works with me. For example, you can choose between writing, quantitative, and or the verbal section. I will give you a customized study plan with session agendas for each time we meet. I can provide sample questions, different study resources, do a content review, go over strategies and examples with you, and as always, I offer flexible payment and scheduling options. Thanks so much for watching!